Don't kid yourself. The finance world is brutal, cutthroat. It's everyone against everyone. I've seen fraud, manipulation, and scams that would make the Wolf of Wall Street look tame. But somehow, I survived it all. When I first started, I was naive, like everybody else. I thought finance was about numbers and skill, but I quickly learned that it was more about manipulation and deception, and who could take advantage of the system better. So I've seen, prices being manipulated. I've seen positions taken with no intent to ever really enter the positions, which, by the way, is now illegal. I've seen trades changed after the fact. I've seen statements manipulated. I've seen all sorts of things that I better don't even talk about. From, even auditors have no clue what they are auditing when they enter a financial institution. Nonetheless, it's part of the game. And you can hate the game all you want, but at the end of the day, if you want to survive in that game, you have to understand it first, right? So in the beginning of my story, I did the most stupidest mistakes you could actually think of. I trusted whoever looked like a hotshot, like somebody who pretended he was a great trader, when in reality, all he was doing was taking martingale risk and just had a period that worked out for him. And of course, I had disastrous losses because of that. Because once the market turned, and it can turn in an instant, I can tell you that, one wrong move and you lose millions. It was a hard lesson, wiped out totally, but one that I had to learn fast. This was a big wake-up call to me, because at the end of the day, again, you can hate things all you want, but once you start understanding them, you can decide for yourself, make an informed decision. Do I want to survive and actually persist in that field? Because then you need to adapt your approach. You need to understand what are the common mistakes that gamblers do, and what is the difference between a gambler and a trader or even a fund manager? And what risks do they take? How do they manage their risks? How do they analyze their decision making? How do they improve their decision making? All of these processes are part of becoming a master of the high stakes nature of these trading moments. Because you cannot escape them. They will happen, and you will have a heat of a moment with such an urgency and so much on the line that you better function well. Because if you don't, you lose it all in an instant. And if you lose somebody else's money in an instant, that's even worse. One thing that a lot of people completely don't understand is that the financial industry, especially if it faces retail customers, is only there for one single reason. It's to take the customer's money. It's not to help you make money. It's not to give you access to investments. It's not to give you market access or any of these things. It gives you all sorts of really nice sounding reasons, and how you analyze markets and you draw lines and boxes on a chart, because at the end of the day, all they care about is that you lose your money to the house. Most of these providers, especially in the retail space, they don't even understand what hedging is in the first place. They run a dealing desk simply for monitoring basically nothing, because they don't even manage their risk. And trust me, I've seen that so many times. I've talked to so many head dealers that have no clue about what they're doing. So all their system is designed for is for their customers to lose. And that's what most of them do. Nobody likes these statistics, but most customers, most people that try trading lose all their money within less than 3 months' time. And I've even seen worse. I've seen schemes, for example, where people would invest into a managed account And that managed account would just, trade, for example, gold. And typically, when it wins, everything was fine. But once it started losing, I saw it with my own eyes. As I was monitoring the trades live, the closing prices actually, they had a negative P&L. But at the end of the day on the trading statement, it was changed. So all they did is basically manipulate their own statements so they can pretend that there is profit, so that people continue to bring money. A typical Ponzi scheme. And look, we've seen that on the highest levels, even on Wall Street. So don't think that these things are just fairy tales. And fake profits and manipulating investors' trust is actually very, very common. So I have seen it all, literally. Brokers fabricating trades, manipulating data, stealing from their own clients. It was one scam after another. And if you are not careful, you could lose everything. You are very likely to lose everything. And that is why you need to understand how to do proper due diligence and how you actually can survive in this pool of sharks. I went through a lot of painful experiences before I did understand how all of that worked. And you gotta be highly skeptical, especially in analyzing the data. If you don't know how to do that, then you better don't even start. Because don't forget, there are people out there that are a lot more smarter than you, that have very nice systemized structures in place that are designed to legally strip you of your hard-earned cash. And why would you do that? So that just for the promise of making money? The promise will not get you anywhere. That said, however, it is possible to persist and be profitable in the financial space. After all, this is what I did. So for the longest time, I had the feeling that I was walking through a minefield of scams and deception. Everything I would try would have the same result. I would end up losing. Whatever trader I worked with, whatever investment scheme I put money in, every little tryout that I did had the same results. And the tactics are quite common. Things are overly simplified, they promise you the world, and mostly they take advantage and exploit novice traders. They show them fake returns, they show them isolated single winning trades, but they never show a consistent track record. They, for example, on a copy trading platform that I've seen, they never showed open trades. They only showed their closed trades, and they would only close trades in profits while all the open trades would continue to float in losses. And obviously on the record that they would show, it would just display a profit when in reality it was losing massively. And that was pretty fine. The broker had no issues with that because it would bring people in, and the influencer would only show their positive record and encourage people to put in more and more money. And on the other side, I've also seen brokerages withholding withdrawal requests. Sometimes they would argue that you had some toxic flow going on, or other times they would simply not have the money anymore because you made money on your trades, but they didn't execute your trades on the market, so they didn't have the money to pay you. So I've seen brokers going bust because of that. Again, they didn't understand to manage their risk properly. So that's why you gotta be really, really skeptic. You have to clearly understand where are the risks that you're taking and how can you make sure that you're mitigating those risks properly. In finance, generally I would say, trust nobody, just nobody. Even you should question yourself time and time again. Every opportunity needs to be picked apart. Every detail must be examined. And at some part of my journey, I would say I almost developed a paranoid level of caution. That is also not where you should stay, because at the end of the day, if you don't take any risks, you cannot reap any rewards. But still, when you understand how to analyze with extreme skepticism and also where you need to look and what you need to understand and where you got to go really deep and look very closely, and that you can't just take anything for face value. Once you understand these things and you put them to work in the right way, then you have a good chance of winning. So I guess you could say I'm a survivor who's learned to think critically. And I can spot red flags from miles away because I've been both a victim and someone who's avoided being a victim. And I've even told people when I would see red flags, don't do that. And they didn't listen to me and they ended up, getting slaughtered. So I've seen all these things. I've been in the middle of them. And I've helped people to avoid them. And I've seen people that didn't take my advice, losing their money. So one of the most important things that I did is I transitioned away from very speculative and high-risk trading. And I moved towards working in a hedge fund. And I focused on risk management and how to generate sustainable profits. And because I realized if you chase fast money, all that happens is that you lose your money fast. Long-term success requires a more controlled approach. You have to understand, for example, how to utilize hedged strategies. You need to clearly define your risk. Where are you entering? Where are you exiting? What kind of leverage are you taking? What is the thesis of your trade to begin with? And all of these things. In Forex trading particularly, people just gamble. They draw some lines and they just, go all in more or less with 100 or more leverage. And they ask themselves literally why they end up losing their money. Most people, and I really mean most, like 99%, end up losing all their money. And I'm not saying that to discourage you from taking that road. Because again, it can be extremely rewarding. But only if you do it the right way. And once I did that, it changed everything for me. And it allowed me to build a more stable financial foundation that I kept growing year over year over year. And then don't forget, the more capital you have, and even today you can access third-party capital much easier than ever before, you can then scale up. Scale up with a proper approach instead of trying to 100x your little money. That is a gambling approach. And I realized at the time that if I wanted real long-term success, I had to change my approach. And I needed to move away from the chaos of speculative, naked trading to the calculated world of how hedge funds operate. So I started in Germany. I worked for a securities trading bank in Munich, in Berlin. I then pivoted to a hedge fund in Switzerland. Those are obviously very, more traditional types of places. And then later, I moved to Cyprus. I guess the weather's great here, people are more friendly, and it's just generally a very different type of feel to it. And even after that, I moved to Dubai. So the culture of trading varies a lot between these locations. And Cyprus, for example, is a very supportive and relaxed environment. It's a great place to retire. And maybe sometimes even makes you more lazy than you should be, but it's beautiful, it's fantastic. When you go to Dubai, and it wasn't until I moved to Dubai, then you're connected with a lot more high stakes and risk-taking type of people that are looking to build partnerships quickly and make a lot of money in the quickest amount of time, and they're never satisfied. Like the energy, the maker energy in that place is very, very different. And I wouldn't even say one place is better than the other, and this is why I choose to live in both places, honestly. And I love that. Like Cyprus is where I built my foundation. It's great for family, it's great for a Mediterranean, beautiful life. But Dubai was where I learned to play the game at the highest level. Really, fast paced, full power, all the time, day and night. And that contrast, super, super cool, to be honest. So I can tell you, for example, in Cyprus, you can very much find more of input and inspiration to develop trading strategies, to go into research, find ideas, and go through data and all of these things. Whereas in Dubai, you can build partnerships. So for example, you can easily connect with networks over there that can bring you thousands of customers in a matter of weeks. And everybody's hungry and greedy for money. So especially in the trading world, if you can share with a network your income, then you can find yourself literally trading for 20,000 people and 70 million type of AUM within weeks. And that shows the power of trading. So if you think learning to trade will only allow you to manage your own capital, then that's correct. At the same time, it gives you the potential upside of scaling into so many other things. You can run a trading operation. You can run something like a fund. You can do so many things, and you can trade millions, if not hundreds of millions of customer capital or third-party capital. And Dubai is the place to really, make these connections, in my opinion. To be honest, I'm quite disillusioned with the retail Forex industry because they never even tried to make it a real financial industry. They are a gambling industry that uses financial markets as proxy. So instead of betting on black or red, you're betting on euro or dollar. And these brokerages, the most funny thing about brokerages is that the retail brokerages, there is not a single person that works in these places that actually knows how to trade profitably. Not a single person. Think about that. So they're all skewed towards short-term gains at the expense of the client's success. So I realized the entire retail industry was built to keep customers losing. And that's when I knew that I had to do things differently. Because if you don't know my beginnings, it was losing all my own money and then my parents' pension on top. And this is why I could never engage in the same practices that put me in the worst moment of my life. And when I realized that the retail industry is just built to basically do to other people what was done to me, that was a pivotal moment in my career. And I shifted. I didn't want to do that, and I focused toward creating value through education and helping traders and anyone who's interested in making money in the financial market to achieve long-term success rather than short-term profit. Short-term profit is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for long-term success and wealth building. Whether you like it or not, you have to accept it's not about quick wins or gambling. It's about structured learning, real effort, and finding a sustainable edge. This is what I teach now. I teach people how to build a statistical edge and a strategy that works for them. And I cannot emphasize it enough. You have to be committed. And you have to be committed to how the real trading side works. And this is what I am. I'm committed to teach you how real ethical trading works and real trading education. Not education that is just built to make you click like a maniac so that you lose your money to the provider of the education. Because a lot of educators are actually affiliates. So they send you to a brokerage and they make money off your losses basically. I'm not doing any of that. I'm offering you genuine education. I am helping traders or anyone who wants to understand that, to understand the risks of leverage, to avoid shortcuts, and to develop a real edge in the market. And because I have navigated so many fraud schemes, and I've seen it from the inside, from the outside, and literally 360 degrees, I have the expertise to teach traders how to avoid scams and how to find true success. And allow me to add one more thing. You see, I'm on a mission. My mission is to help others to become self-reliant and successful by trading financial markets. And I believe that empowering other individuals to take control of their own finances can and will positively impact their lives and their communities as well. I believe in creating a ripple effect and by helping traders to become the best versions of themselves, because it's literally impossible to become a good trader without becoming a better person in the same process. So we create a positive change that extends far beyond finance, far beyond finance. And I really encourage you to shift away from a materialistic pursuit and view only. Go towards a mindset of personal and financial growth, where success is more than just the money. So if you're ready to learn how to build long-term success and how to avoid the scams that plague this industry, join me. Let's create a future where you are not just chasing profit, but where you are building real wealth and real personal growth.